Speak to the entire impact on home values, but a lot of our facilities are going to be, kind of like you mentioned, Alabama Power, going to be in very rural areas where it's not a lot of population around that area. So it's, in terms of the overall impact on the communities around, most of the time it's just kind of away from a lot of activity or population.
Similar response. We're out. I can't remember the last plant we sited in Alabama. It's been years and years since we sited a new plant. Now, if we had to site wind turbines or had to site a solar field, it would affect. It would affect folks in that area. We'd have to go and talk to them and through the permitting process determine what those impacts might be. I can't predict now what they might be. Like I said, they're all in rural areas. There's mostly fields around them, as opposed to housing tracts.
So for those facilities that have been in place for some time, have you all tracked, or are you aware of any tracking for impact on those different communities, be it they're more rural or residential?
In my role, I'm not aware.
I wanted to make a statement. I'm a realtor, so I can speak from a real estate standpoint. I know oftentimes when people are looking for a home, if there is something negative in the environment, like a plant or waste recycling or whatever, it does affect the home value. And we will oftentimes have buyers tell us that they don't want to buy in those particular areas, or the level of appreciation for those areas will not be the same as other areas. Now, I can't tell you exactly how much it affects the value of these homes, but I can tell you that it does affect the value of the homes.
This isn't sort of, science, right? But what I'm about to say, in some ways, is part common sense and part based on some statistical information. As I mentioned in my presentation, communities of color, whether they're African American, Latino, Asian American, indigenous communities, etc., in the United States by far are overwhelmingly the host of most of these facilities or negative facilities. So whether it's waste dumps that come, where the coal ash may be dumped, or whether it's the power plant that's next door, or so forth and so on. That's where you will traditionally find a lot of these studies, so a lot of these facilities. So that's one bit of information that people need to sort of be aware of, and I'll lift up again. The second thing I'm going to say is that I have seen in the past that median household resale values or house sale values I remember at least in predominantly African American communities, are lower than similarly situated economically our counterparts, our Caucasian brothers and sisters, American Caucasian communities. So just to break that down, if you're similarly situated economically, i.e., middle class, you're African American, you're European American, and the home values, there's a distinction in the neighborhoods, the prices. So that's one thing. So if you kind of put those two things together, and I'm not encouraging people to do that because I'm not saying that's social science valid. But if you put those two bits of information together, there's something there that says to me it's at least requiring us to look at and may possibly lead to a reality that the two things are in some way connected. So I put that out there for people to think about and to research, not to walk away from here as fact or gospel truth that I said.
Do you think that's national perspective, or is that a perspective specific to the state of Alabama?
I'm not talking, that is a national perspective. I'm not talking specific to the state of Alabama. But I don't know that Alabama would be, any different than sort of the national statistic either.
Sir?
In Syracuse, New York, They built a sewage treatment plant right in next door to where African Americans live in the poor neighborhood. Okay, the president of the NAACP showed no sensitivity at all. She went along with them in doing this. And have a big problem also with NAACP presidents of the organization that sell out the people. You have a big problem with that. How are you going to fix that? I don't know. But you got a lot of people designed to deceive the community, in these communities. They build it there, all right, because I was there in New York, I was there with the NAACP, fighting the NAACP, but not fighting the people that was building the sewage plant. You see what I'm talking about? It's there now, right in the center, not next door. I wouldn't want to move there. People are moving out of the city, not into the sewage, not into the city. We don't live in that type of society where people are moving into poverty. People moving away from poverty. So, but NAACP had a big problem, and that is with presidents of NAACP who are selling out the people who are vulnerable and don't have the ability or know how to fight the NAACP system.
All right, point well taken. And I think that segues into the discussion about what do you do when you live in communities that have been affected by these different facilities and or you feel are vulnerable or may be subject to have one placed. So what do you think about that? What are the options for community members? How do you advocate for your community effectively? And make sure that you're getting the things that you need. And you also have a good understanding of what the risks are that are associated with placement. And when facilities are there or maybe have been there for some time, what can be done about the potential cleanup that may be necessary as a result of the plant being there for some time, et cetera, et cetera. So do we have any questions or need for clarification about anything that has been discussed thus far, terms, concepts?
One term that you guys have mentioned over and over again, I think most people don't know what retrofitting is. To be able to explain that clearly to them, what retrofitting is, so that, and also energy audits, that's another thing. That's a new term as well, and I'm extremely interested in it, as I said earlier, because I am a green realtor, I have my green designation. Those terms I'm knowledgeable about, but the average person may not know, and these are things I think that people here can take a lot from knowing more about it and how to get on board, especially because we know that this is up and coming, whether we realize it or not.
What is the retrofit?
Well, she's right. I was going to
answer that. Retrofitting is replacing inefficient equipment with more energy efficient equipment. You are retrofitting. You're taking out the old inefficient equipment and putting in new efficient equipment, say an air conditioner, that kind of thing. And you were speaking to
Sure.
I'll repeat again. Retrofitting is replacing old inefficient equipment with new energy efficient equipment. Say an old air conditioner, you replace it with one that operates more efficiently. You spoke to real estate values, and when you can increase the energy efficiency of your home, that increases the value of that home. Someone looking to buy your home and they see your history of your utility bills, if they're a lot lower than the other houses that they're looking at, that figures into their financial equation in determining the affordability of that home. That's something we all can do, is go back and to our own homes and look at ways that we can improve the energy efficiency of those homes. You mentioned an energy audit, and some of the utilities offer free energy audits where they come in, they evaluate the different parts of your home, if air's escaping, if you need better insulation, and they give you an evaluation and an analysis of how you can improve the efficiency of your home and lower your energy